Hello, everyone. I'm Sandy with CG&A. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're really glad you're here. Before we get started, I have a couple housekeeping notes. Everyone is muted right now to cut back on background noise. Today's session is being recorded, and we'll send you a link afterwards so you can watch it at any time. If there's anything you'd like to ask, please drop it in the chat at the top of your screen or the Q&A box. There's also handouts for you to pick up. They are with the pencil or the paper clip and the paper at the top. Those are available to you at any time. We'll be answering questions at the end of the presentation, so please hold on for that. And there will be a couple polls that come up, so please take a moment to answer those. We'd love to get your input. Now I'm excited to introduce our presenter at ICM Controls, John Fannetti. John, I'll hand it over to you now. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, my name again is John Fannetti. I'm an engineering technician here at ICM Controls, and I manage the technical support department. And I've been asked to present for you today on some details about surge protection and a little bit about some of our new products that combine both surge protection and voltage monitoring, and talk to you a little bit about defrost controls, why we need defrost controls, and one of our nice new products, a universal defrost control. And we'll talk about the benefits of having a universal control. So first of all, why does your home need surge protection? So what is this whole surge protection thing about? So, you know, over the years, the power grid has changed, and we got a lot more devices drawing a lot of power. We've got the power grid being taxed more heavily than ever. So we have a lot of expensive electronic appliances attached to our power coming into our house. And these power surges, which are very fast acting transient surges, so they don't stay there for a long time. They're very fast acting, maybe nanoseconds, and they can damage electronic equipment very, very fast. So you want something that can protect your expensive electronics and appliances from these damaging surges. Also, when a surge happens and it takes out a piece of equipment like an air conditioning unit, some control board in an air conditioning unit, it can create thousands of dollars worth of expenses, meaning, you know, you might have a pretty expensive control board and maybe a mini split or something like that. And the cost of replacing that control board and the labor to do so gets pretty costly. Surge protection can help protect and prevent these unexpected expenses. And last of all, peace of mind, right? You want to know that, hey, you know, I've got something on my equipment to know that it's going to protect me, and you can rest easy knowing that you're protected from unseen electrical threats. So identifying the need for surge protection. So how do we know we need surge protection, or why do we need it? Well, like I mentioned before, the electrical grid is being strained more than ever now due to today's technology and infrastructure. We have an older infrastructure, but we got a lot of new technology. So, you know, we're taxing that older infrastructure pretty heavily these days. We got electric vehicles, we've got solar power, inverter-driven devices, and all kinds of things that are affecting the grid as we add energy to the grid or take it away from it. So the grid becomes overloaded sometimes, and sometimes with all these mini splits and other things that people are putting on now, and heat pumps, and you know, they're going to tax that grid, and the voltage can fluctuate in a substantial amount sometimes. And for example, on a mini split, if you go over 252 volts, which is in the United States, our voltage probably around 246 on average. If you go over that 252 volts, which is a slim distance from 246 on the average, you could take out a mini split board, which is a minimum of a $1,000 cost plus labor. You can see how that price can go up. So we want something that, you know, to be able to protect against that. So that's why we need it. Another key factors affecting the need for the surge protection, which is problems affecting the electrical grid, a shift from fossil fuel to electrification. We're getting away from coal, we're getting away from that wood burning stuff. we're going more towards electrification on everything. Even natural gas now, they're really trying to move away from too much natural gas. More energy is being used for charging electric vehicles. We talked about old, outdated electrical grids and infrastructure. Construction, where more housing that we build requires more energy. And then the transition to renewable energy sources, like we mentioned, wind, solar, and things like that. And then climate change, extremes in weather, we're seeing a lot of that, right? Lightning, power outages, wind, ice storms, all these environmental changes that are causing our serious problems with the grid sometimes. Power outages, brownouts, over voltages, things like that. So we have to have something. And in fact, what you're going to find is most of your manufacturers now are starting to require surge protection to provide a warranty to their product. So surge protective devices and the role that they play. All right, so without any appropriate surge protection, even minor transient surges can degrade or damage equipment, things like computers, television, household appliance, and those expensive electronic boards that are in your HVAC equipment or heat pumps or other devices, inverters, things like that. Installing a single-phase surge protection device, an SPD, like the ICM 517A or the new ICM 517A Lite, will enhance the resilience and reliability of that entire electrical installation by, of course, mitigating these risks, okay? So beyond just individual equipment protection, the surge protection also creates a more stable environment for the electrical system, giving you the confidence for continuous safe operation of your equipment. And, we say here, you protect important items like your computer, your TVs. Why wouldn't you protect one of your largest investments, one of your most expensive investments, which is your heating and cooling equipment? We should have some segue questions here.
Yep, we have the poll live right now. Okay, John, we have the answers. Everyone is aware. The answer is like 100% yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. So let's talk about what a surge is. So if you can see it from the diagram on the right, you got your normal voltage going along there nice and steady. Then all of a sudden you got that giant spike, right, at a very, very short duration. So a transient voltage surge occurs when the voltage goes from a normal steady state, like we see in the diagram, to this giant sharp rise in a very short period of time. Now the surge suppressors protect against these type of surges. And specifically, I want to clarify something. Surge suppressors, SPDs, are designed to protect against surges caused by lightning, but not a lightning strike itself. A direct lightning strike, not much survives that, right? Direct lightning strike will split oak trees in half. It'll melt things right, to molten, lead, turn sand into glass. So, it's a direct lightning strike. Pretty much, you got to have a different type of a device, something like a lightning arrestor or something like that. Surge suppression devices do not cover that. These are to suppress the surge, clamp the voltage at a certain level, and then just dissipate the rest of the surge as heat, but not take a direct lightning hit. Causes for surges can be from electrical storms in the upper atmosphere. That actually those electrical storms in the upper atmosphere will surge energy down the power lines, which are in parallel with the Earth. So they induce that voltage right into the power lines, and that's where your surge comes in from the power lines. You could also have large pieces of equipment in a factory, for example, turning on and off, creating voltage swings. You could also have, and not just little voltage swings. I mean, you could be a huge spike when that inrush current comes in and that piece of equipment turns back on. You could have issues with the power station. The power station might have a problem at the power station where you got fluctuating voltage or, brownouts, and then an immediate turn on of you loss of power and then on with power and then off. We've all seen that happen from time to time. Failing transformers on your pole. Those can go bad and start failing. And when they fail, they create a lot of terrible surges. And you can have in storms and so forth, downed power lines that are just, acting very erratically and shorting to ground, and all kinds of weird problems going on there as well that can create these surges. So some of the key features of the single phase surge protected devices. And the ICM products, and a lot of your products today, even other models in the field similar to the ICM product, they're going to be using what they call thermally protected metal oxide varistor technology, TMOV technology. You're going to hear that word a lot if you're dealing with surge suppressors. And what that indicates is that these SPDs, or surge protective devices, these TMOVs, are the surge elements. Those are what's doing the protecting. So they're going to clamp your voltage at the rating of the TMOV. And ours, they're about 300 volts. And then it's going to dissipate all the rest of that energy, all that surge that you see on the top of that spike. That's all going to be dissipated as heat. It's going to convert that thermal or electrical energy to thermal energy. Once the maximum capacity of the TMOV has been met, then the SPD will safely remove itself from the circuit, but leave you still connected. All right, so that if a surge comes in behind it, then of course you're not protected. But what that does is it leaves you connected so you don't have a loss of power, an instant loss of power. But what you will have is the status light on the SPD will go out. And that indicates you no longer have surge protection. It would need to be replaced immediately. Surge protective devices like the ICM 517 and A and the 517A Lite, they are sacrificial devices. In other words, they need to be replaced once the status indicator goes out and no longer protection is no longer available. Now you can see from the diagram there on the right, the TMOV are those little black boxes in there, and you can see two banks, and this is the 517A Lite. There's two banks of 3 there, so you've got about 60,000 amps of protection there for a single hit, multiple hits under 60,000 amps. It's just clear to note here, these are not a one and done product. Just because we say that when SPDs reach their limit, they have to be replaced, doesn't mean they're going to reach their limit in one hit. Now, that possibility exists if your hit is so big that it exceeds the maximum capacity of the device. In this case, the 517A Lite, maximum surge can be 60,000 amps for a single hit. But remember, it can take many, many hits under that. So you could have your surge protection in for years without any damage, and then one big storm come through and that could take it out. So it's not a one and done. I just want to be clear about that. So some applications that we see these used in are HVAC equipment, a lot of your mini splits, protecting mini splits, protecting HVAC equipment, air conditioners, rooftop air conditioners, residential air conditioners. You can protect your heating equipment, furnaces, anything that's single phase 120 or 240 volts for the 517A and 517A Lite models in our single phase lineup. Also, we see these in refrigeration applications to protect sensitive electronics and refrigeration units from those surges. Appliances, all your appliances, these days, almost every appliance has some type of electronic board in it. Having one of these surge suppressors on a breaker that's feeding that piece of equipment can save those circuit boards from getting damaged. And of course, electronics such as your furnace board on your furnace, your defrost boards, or your other boards on your heat pumps or HVAC equipment, and any other electronic boards that you might have and some other equipment. Single phase surge protection for residential applications and light commercial is pretty much required these days. So ICM Controls' newest member to this family is called the ICM 517A Lite. It's one of the latest controls designed here, and we assemble them, design them, assemble them here and right here in our factory in Syracuse, New York. We are a vertically integrated factory, which means we build this thing from the ground up. So it's complete USA innovation, design, and assembly. We make our own plastic molds and make our own casing. So we do a lot of this stuff right here locally, which avoids a lot of those tariffs and other non-desirable wait times and things like that to ship products in from overseas. The 517A is a compact, small profile Type 2 surge suppression device or surge protective device. Now, what does Type 2 mean? Type 2 just simply means that it has to be mounted on the load side of the service. This is not for a whole house protection. If you want whole home protection, we offer the ICM 518. That's a different version of a surge protector. But this one, 517A and 517A Lite in this case, these are Type 2 surge protectors, so they're meant to be protected by a 15 to 60 amp breaker. So anything from 15 up to 60 amp breaker service being protected behind that, and then we take it downstream from there. This is all housed, this device is all housed in a NEMA 4X, means a weather-resistant, weatherproof enclosure. The plastic is UL94 VO flame retardant, and we have top-of-the-line thermally protected metal oxide varistors, TMOVs inside there, which are the key elements for surge protection. The structure is ultrasonically welded, so you can be sure it's good for outdoor or indoor installation. A thinner, more compact profile makes it easier to install in tight spaces. Maximum surge capacity of 60,000 amps for a single hit, many more hits under 60,000. Easy to read status light will tell you when the control is protecting, even in low light conditions. Easy installation with only 3 wires. And designed and assembled, of course, here in the US at our factory in Syracuse, New York. A UL listed device meeting the standards to E3477279. And it carries a limited lifetime warranty of up to a 3-year, 25,000 connected equipment warranty. What we're saying there is if you put this on and you apply for our connected equipment warranty, you have up to $25,000 protection in your connected equipment if it is determined that the ICM device failed to do its job and your equipment was sacrificed because of it. So what's the value proposition of using, let's say, the ICM 517A Lite over some other brands that are out there? Well, first of all, it's a UL listed device, and it meets stringent standards. Other devices out there may also be UL listed, but we make sure we pride ourselves on really getting the highest standards that we can in our safety. We also feature very high quality TMOVs for multi-strike protection, and which delivers industry best safety and performance over time. We also manufacture this product right here. It's not made in China. It's not made overseas. And so this supports not only our local economy, but it also provides you with very quick turnaround, shortened lead times. It's simple and elegant, and it just keeps production costs low because of that simple and elegant design. So that means we're going to pass that savings on to you. So you're going to have low cost, local manufacturing, very short lead times, quick turnaround, plus you've got tech support that is a live person that will talk you through anything to help you get installed or take care of any problems you have. May not always be the case with other models, other manufacturers. The case on ours is a UL94 VO flame retardant for added safety for fire. So again, we're all about safety with our device. It's not just throwing something together, you know, for low cost. It's all about providing low cost with high quality and savings. And we have a competitive pricing structure with agency certification, and we deliver the best-in-class value for residential and light commercial protection. So when you think about surge protection, you also should be thinking a little bit about voltage monitoring, because the two are totally different. Remember, we talked about surge protecting being a fast-acting transient surge, so something that acts within nanoseconds, but which is 10 times 10 to the negative 9th of a second. Whereas a voltage issue, like a grid level change, maybe that's everybody's turned on their air conditioners and the peak power needs to be increased because it's putting such a demand on the grid that the power company has to raise the grid from 240 to maybe 250. Well, that can be damaging to some equipment. And if you haven't got a piece of device that can protect against that, and a surge protection device will not protect against gradual voltage grid level changes like that, then you're going to still be, you know, in trouble. So for example, let's talk about mini splits again. A mini split can only handle 252 volts before it gets zapped. Its board gets zapped. And that 252 volts could be constant. It could be, you know, fast acting. But most of the time, what you're going to see is grid level changes, bringing that voltage up to 252, 255 volts for an extended period of time. Even if it's not extended, it's still going to take out that mini split board. But your surge protection will see nothing wrong because it's only looking for those very high energy, fast acting spikes. It's not looking for the grid level change. Grid level changes, you need to have a voltage monitor. So a voltage monitor, again, protects sensitive equipment like your mini split circuit boards and other things from sags and swells and brownouts in the power. Helps diagnose power quality issues that can, you know, cause premature failure. So if you got a voltage monitor like our ICM 492, for example, that's going to tell you some faults and say, hey, we've had some brownouts. We've had 3 brownout, you know, faults registered here. And so you're going to say, oh, hey, wait a minute, I'm getting these consistent brownouts. I got to do something about my voltage, you know. So it can prevent those failures. It also will ensure more stable operation of the equipment, preventing shutdowns, and also with built-in anti-short cycle protection can prevent short cycling due to power losses going on and off, on and off, on and off. We also provide preventative maintenance to your equipment by alerting a technician of an abnormal condition. So when they go out and they look at a piece of equipment that has one of our voltage monitors in it, it's in an alarm mode, they're going to say, hey, you know, there's something wrong here. You know, you're going to call out a technician because your unit's not working. They're going to see the ICM in there, voltage monitor in there, and they're going to say, oh, wow, I see what the problem is, you know, and they're going to be able to, you know, fix that problem and get you back up and running. So we've come up with a solution that covers best of both worlds, right? You want the protection of that surge protection, right? For all those fast acting transient surges caused by power grid changes, lightnings in the upper atmosphere, you know, downed power lines, you know, bad transformers on the power pole, all those things that are creating surges. You got to protect against that. But also, we also want to protect against those power grid level changes during peak periods when maybe the voltage goes from 240 up to 255, you know, so we need to have both. The Sentry 3-in-1 combines those benefits of both a single phase surge protective device and a line voltage monitor into one easy solution. And the nice thing about this, it also comes with a convenient disconnect switch built into it. So basically, you can shut power off with convenience without having to disconnect some breaker that may be somewhere else that is inaccessible. Or if you're doing a new install, you don't have to add that additional cost of a breaker, providing that your service or your full load amps of that particular piece of equipment that you're protecting is no more than 40 amps. So this comes included with a NEMA 4X outdoor rated enclosure. It has built into it the 517A surge suppressor. We probably will, that one's got actually 100,000 amps maximum surge capacity, so a little more than the 517A Lite. And it's built into a rugged metal box that can handle severe surges a little bit better than plastic. So that's some features there. You also got the brand new ICM 492D with its upgraded advanced features for voltage monitoring. So you can monitor your voltage sags and your rises in the voltage. So you got the benefit of the 517A surge, you got the benefit of the 492 voltage monitor, plus you got a nice contactor in there, a non-latching contactor to break inductive loads like motors and compressors. A lot of your competitors' models, they like to use those block relays, and block relays are not really necessarily good for inductive loads. Inductive loads are big motors and compressors, things like that. When we disconnect you, we fully disconnect you. And some of those latching block relays, they could fail and latch in the latched position, leaving you still connected, which is kind of a bad thing if you're trying to protect against surges and voltage issues. So we also have a built-in 40 amp disconnect breaker, and it's all pre-wired. No messing around with having to figure out how to wire it. You literally bring your power into the disconnect switch, and your load, which is your air conditioner, connects to the contactor's load side. You're done. It's very simple. So it's an all-in-one solution for both voltage monitoring and surge protection. So here's the parts inside. Again, service voltage for this model is 208, 240, which is pretty much most of what you're going to see. Maximum surge capacity of 100,000 amps. All right. Your voltage monitor, again, pre-wired, set up for 240 volts, continuously monitoring and displaying the incoming line voltage for faults. Easy to read backlit display, so you can read those conditions and those faults in low light conditions. Also an onboard 40 amp circuit breaker, which disconnects you. It's basically a disconnect switch that disconnects you from the power. And there's a non-latching 40 amp contactor that directly handles the inductive loads, much better than those block relays, which could be latching. All right, and so what's the value proposition for the Sentry 3-in-1? Why would you want to use this over maybe some other products that are out there that have a similar combined product offering? Well, again, we are assembling this product here in the US. So that's in a state-of-the-art, vertically integrated production facility that's ISO certified. So we're always being inspected and made sure that we're meeting international standards and standards for good quality. We are the best in class surge protection so we have that 100,000 amps. So for this class of all-in-one product, this is one of the best in class for that, because some of the competitors' models may only protect up to 50,000 amps, whereas this model protects up to 100,000 amps. So we've got a lot of good protection there in the surge protection. Plus, we got a very good voltage monitor in there, something that ICM has been known for years. We're putting that into this model. A non-latching contactor style relay to switch the output on and off rather than block relays that could be latching. An industry-leading enclosure with NEMA 4X and IP66 weatherproof rating. And everything, including the installation instructions, and wiring diagrams are conveniently displayed not only on our website, but in other literature that's available to you, plus technical support via our 1-800 number. And everything is pre-wired for you, so you literally just got to connect your power and your load. We also have an industry-leading limited lifetime warranty, ensuring that our commitment to excellence, quality, and ability to provide you with a reliable, superior product is always going to be there. We believe in this, and we stand behind this so much that we're offering a up to 3-year, $25,000 connected equipment policy, connected equipment warranty. And this is really one of the best in the field. A limited lifetime product warranty up to 3 years and $25,000 connected equipment warranty should the customer apply for that connected equipment warranty. So just keep in mind your customers have to apply for it in order for it to come into effect. The Sentry 3-in-1 also has a product warranty of up to 10,000 connected equipment. I'm not sure about, the Sentry 3-in-1, sorry. The Sentry 3-in-1, yes. Sentry 3-in-1 has a limited lifetime product warranty of up to 10,000 connected equipment warranty. And again, you register your product at www.icmcontrols.com. Click on our customer service tab and select the warranty information. There'll be a slight pause here as we post some questions.
Thank you very much, John.
Okay, we have the results. One person answered correctly with all of the above.
Okay, that's great. All right, so maybe we want to, we can reissue, we can rehash that, what the surge protector, when we talk about lightning strikes and stuff. I hope I've got that clear, that the lightning strikes, direct hits are not going to be protected because they're going to pretty much damage the equipment, split it in half, melt it. I mean, there's thousands and millions of volts behind a lightning strike, not even measurable in my mind. But lightning strikes cause surges to be transmitted down power lines and into equipment. And that's what the surge protectors are made to protect against, those fast-acting transient surges caused by lightning, but not the direct strike itself. For lightning strikes, you need lightning arresters and things like that are much different devices. Okay, let's talk about now some heat pump technology in cold climates. So you may know that heat pumps are becoming more and more and more popular these days as we try to do things more efficiently and not use as much fossil fuel and so forth. So heat pumps are more green energy friendly. So, and now we're getting a lot of these. We used to only be able to use heat pumps more in warmer climates in the older days, but now we got these cold climate heat pumps that can be running in upstate New York and Canada, and they can allow you to provide heating in the coldest of climates now. But to do that, they have to have a piece of equipment inside there to prevent ice buildup. You can see from this example, the coil has frost all over the front of it there. And the coil is what you see on the outside of that big box there. That's in your heat pump. You're going to want to push air past that coil and get rid of that heat. But the problem is you can't. What happens is that those cold temperatures lower the temperatures in the system, and then you develop frost, and eventually you create a thermal blanket around your heat pump's outdoor coil, which then means you get no thermal transfer. So the way a heat pump kind of works is that you're going to have latent heat in the atmosphere. And so even though you feel cold, oh my gosh, you feel like it's, 32 degrees outside, it's freezing, but to a heat pump, there's a lot of latent heat there. And so it will absorb that latent heat, and then by the process of evaporation and condensing the refrigerant, we can push heat out the indoor coil. Okay, so but the problem is with that outdoor coil already being the low temperature coil to begin with, and the indoor coil being the high temperature coil, that low temperature coil on the outside is already cold. Now you're putting it at a low pressure. It's just an avenue for ice buildup. So you need something to defrost that ice. Just like in your refrigerators, how you have a defrost cycle in your freezer, that's there for a reason as well. Because if you didn't have that defrost control in your refrigerator, in the freezer of your refrigerator, you'd have a block of ice inside your refrigerator, and you would, in the old days, you used to have to defrost your freezer. You'd open up the door and, just let it unthaw, so to speak. Nowadays, they have defrost controls in your refrigerator that prevent freezer frostovers. Same idea here. So this allows the heat pump to run more efficiently at low and heating at low temperatures, prevents damage to the coil and ice buildup, extends the equipment life, and prevents service callbacks. That's what defrost boards do. And ICM Controls has developed a universal defrost board that can replace a lot of our old legacy products. Here's the goal: what we would make is we'd make a product for all these different manufacturers. Oh, you'd have Rheem, you'd have Carrier, you'd have Tempstar, you'd have somebody else, and all of these had different defrost boards. They all acted in a very similar way, but they all had their own little unique features about them. Well, we combined all the best features of all of those boards, and we made a universal board out of it. And that's what the ICM-UDefrost is. So here's again a little picture kind of talking about what I just explained to you previously, is that the system detects frost buildup when the outdoor coil temperature drops below 32 degrees. So you've got your outdoor coil, and you're going to go into a defrost cycle when a coil temperature sensor senses that outdoor coil is too cold and that frost could build up on it. So then what's going to happen is a reversing valve in your heat pump is going to switch the refrigerant flow so that the outdoor coil now becomes the indoor coil, and the indoor coil becomes the outdoor coil. All right, and so what happens there is now your outdoor coil is going to start warming up, melting any of that ice off, and then as soon as the sensor senses that outdoor coil has reached, let's say 55 degrees, it's going to say, okay, I've melted all the ice off, and tell the defrost board to switch the reversing valve again. The reversing valve is going to switch your refrigerant flow, and it's going to then go back to normal heating where the indoor coil gets hot and the outdoor coil gets cold. And this will keep repeating itself based on the defrost cycle and the intervals between defrost. Typically, we try to stop the outdoor fan when we are in defrost mode because we don't want to push any more air past the coil. We want it to get nice and warm and melt that ice right away. And we also sometimes, some heat pumps will have auxiliary heat strips built into them so that when it goes into this defrost cycle and makes your heat pump and air conditioner, you certainly don't want to feel cold air blowing on you. So it turns on a set of auxiliary heat strips so that you don't even know that it's gone into its defrost cycle. You just keep feeling warm air coming out your heat pump. Now that's basically how the heat pump works and how the defrost board works. So yeah, obviously you can see for heat pumps, we need this defrost control board. Okay, and we're seeing a lot of these heat pumps around now, not just in warm climates, all over now. So all heat pumps will have to have some form of defrost control, and that's why we made the universal defrost control. So we were pleased to announce the launch of the new ICM-UDefrost control board with the high cost and limited access to a lot of your OEM equipment boards, OEM standing for original equipment manufacturers. They can be very costly. A lot of times there's long lead times on them. Sometimes you just can't get them. You need something. You need an answer for, you know, a defrost board you can go down to your distributor and get and take care of pretty much any defrost application you could run across, except for demand defrost. We can't do demand defrost with this. That's a special type of defrost, but most traditional defrost can be done with this board. And we needed that need for a singular universal control, which replaces the function of nearly all traditional time and temperature heat pump defrost controls, and that's why we developed this product, the ICM-UDefrost Universal Defrost Control Board. And it comes with two sensors, one for the onboard sensor and one for an auxiliary outdoor air ambient temperature sensor, and that's used for specific applications to setting up the control to lock out the heat pump when the heat pump can no longer have good thermal transfer. So if the heat pump's not going to give you thermal transfer if the temperature's sub-zero outside, you know, there's no point in running your heat pump. You're going to have to run off of your auxiliary heat source. So we can lock the heat pump out. So this board has that capability of locking out the heat pump when it's not going to be efficient. So this UDefrost board replaces almost any traditional time or temperature terminate defrost board. It uses your smartphone and an ICM OMNI app, which is free, and the technology of near field communication. This is much like your contactless payments, like your Apple Pay, or if anybody's familiar with that, contactless payments, where all you do is you bring your device, like for example, if it's your iPhone, or in this case, you know, maybe you have an Apple Watch or something like that, and you're doing Apple Pay, you would bring that Apple Watch near the reader. It would make a noise, a little blip, and then it would transfer your money. But in this case, it's using near field communication just like that, but instead of transferring money, we're transferring a program, which you're going to set up all of your functions, your time and temperature, set points, and defrost terminate, and interval cycles. All that stuff is going to be set up, and then you just program that right into the device. You have the unit comes functional with defaults already out of the box. So it can be just installed sometimes right away. Other times you might want to tweak it with the app. It has time and temperature terminate defrost, so it can terminate defrost cycle on the coil temperature or a given period of time that you set. Say you only want the defrost to last for 10 minutes. Then at 10 minutes, regardless of what the coil temperature is, we're going to terminate that defrost. It has a built-in anti-short cycle protection to prevent short cycling of the compressor. That could be very harmful to the compressor. We have quiet shift feature. If anybody's ever had a defrost, a heat pump, and in that reversing valve dumps, you hear a loud bang when that does that. Well, the quiet shift prevents that from happening. And we also have a high temp auxiliary heat lockout and a low temp compressor lockout for safety features. We also have a field test mode for technicians to test the device in the field. It detects low voltage or brownout conditions, has a diagnostic LED indicator to give you diagnostic fault codes to aid in troubleshooting when something goes wrong. And it has a thermistor style sensor, coil sensor, and outdoor air temperature sensor provided with the product. So again, we're using this NFC technology, near field communication, much like contactless payment, where you allow the user to easily preset parameters of the device prior to the job. So, you know, you might, you know, I like the technicians always tell me they love this feature because they can sit in their truck, they can program this device, get it all ready. Then, you know, it's cold outside, right? So then they go in and, you know, in their nice warm truck, program the device with the ICM OMNI app, and we say we recommend you do it without any power on it because it's a near field communication. We don't want electromagnetic fields interfering with our device, which electromagnetic fields are present when you have power running through wires. So by having this just non-powered and just being non-powered and just program the device non-powered, wonderful. It uses the antenna in your phone and the power of your battery in your phone to transfer that data. So it's important that you have a good charged battery when you're doing this. You can locate and download the ICM OMNI app from the Google Play Store or Apple Store to get started, and it's all free. You can see it's a very simple thing. You simply just download it, you hit program device, you choose UDefrost, you say create a new program, and then all your parameters come up. And we can it's probably not necessary to go through all of these because this is not a technician's level, but these are all the values a technician would be looking to set to match it to any defrost board that's pretty much out there. We cross to many of the popular brands of defrost controls, including all 85 of our legacy products and all of the products that those legacy products cross to. So maybe hundreds of boards, including Lennox, Train, York, Goodman, Carrier, Rheem, Bard, and so forth. So what's the value proposition for the ICM-UDefrost? Well, it's assembled here in the US, all right, again, in our vertically integrated facility, again, reducing those long lead times for OEM products. It's also a premier circuit board construction, meaning we use double-sided through-hole construction. That means that our bonds on our solder joints are soldered from both sides of the board with a via in the middle, which makes it a very tight, strong bond, meaning we're going to have better reliability than most of your OEMs, which might only be single-sided soldering. We also use conformal coating on our boards to conformally coat areas that would be subject to moisture or dendrite growth. And it's also a universal application, replacing all ICM legacy defrost boards that cross to many of the popular OEM brands. It's also conveniently field programmable using a smartphone and near field communication technology. It allows the contractor the convenience of programming this ahead of time in their vehicles without having to fumble around in cold weather trying to figure out how to program it. And it benefits both the end user and the distributor by reducing your truck stock and your shelf inventory. One SKU replacing multiple SKUs. Always good for both the end user and the distributor. You also get superior technical support. We offer in-person, on the phone technical support, which is something that's becoming less and less of a thing today. It's hard to get good tech support. A lot of times you're stuck with some artificial intelligence or maybe a foreign adversary that's providing tech support for a U.S. company, and might not be conducive to good growth, or good support. So here we're going to have live speaking, technicians, and they're not just, people reading a script. They're technicians that are actually know the product and will help you and, get it going or troubleshoot it if there is a problem. Of course, our marketing materials are all available at our website, the sell sheet, the installation guide, wiring diagram, all sorts of good things on our website. And our 800 number is our technical support, 1-800-365-5525. And you'll get somebody from tech support to help you out. Okay, we'll leave this open now to any questions that you might have. And we can poll some questions as well, if you'd like.
Thank you, John. We have a couple questions here. To get started, we have Do you know why defrost is required with using a heat pump? I think that's just a question for you, John.
Okay, so the reason why we use a defrost control, again, is to provide operation of your heat pump in very cold climates. Otherwise, if you did not have a defrost board, your outdoor coil would freeze up, and you would have a problem with thermal transfer. So defrost boards are essential and required for heat pumps to be able to run them in cold climate conditions.
Thank you. And before we get to the next question, just to remind everyone, you can ask your questions at the top of your screen by clicking on the button with the question mark, or into the chat, or you can raise your hand and we'll unmute you. And also to remind you, there are handouts in this presentation at the top of your screen also. And there's a fall into savings promotion that's offered by ICM that you can also grab today. The next question I have is, what does a standard surge protection device protect against?
Okay, so a standard surge protection device protects you against surges caused by lightning, also power grid failures where you got power going on and off, transformers acting bad, downed power lines, anything that can cause fast acting transient spikes. Big pieces of equipment turning on and off can create those spikes as well. So you need, these days, with all of the, dirty power is kind of a very general term. I hate to use it, but most people understand what dirty power is. Power with a lot of fluctuations, a lot of surges, a lot of, just bad power. And we're getting a lot of that with the overuse of our kind of outdated grid service right now. And so it's becoming a requirement in many cases. So that's why you need it.
Okay, great. And the next question I have is, how is the warranty claimed if damage is done to connected equipment?
So you have to first file a connected equipment warranty, and that's filed with ICM Controls, and it protects your equipment in the event that something in the ICM Controls that fails in its design and didn't perform its function the way it was supposed to. Now, it doesn't mean that it protects it against surges. All right, a surge, the control is designed to protect against surges up to a certain limit, the limit of the device. And if the device does its job and sacrifices itself in the process, but then another surge comes behind it unprotected, we can't claim that as a warranty. But if there was some type of workmanship error or something was wrong with the product and it failed to do what it was supposed to do, then we would protect that connected equipment. So you would register your equipment with the form that's downloaded from the internet on our website, and once the connected equipment warranty page is filled out, we send you an acknowledgement. We keep that on file, and then if you have a claim, then you have to follow the rules of the warranty, and they're pretty well called out on our website about how you would go about processing that claim.
Okay. Okay, great. I don't see any other questions. Just as a reminder to everyone, we'll be sending this out on demand if you'd like to watch it again, if you missed anything. We'll also give some highlights and include the attachments and the fall promotion also. There's also an additional video that will be linked in that email too, with more about ICM products. John, thank you so much for presenting today. You did a great job, and all great products at ICM. You're a great partner to CG&A, and we appreciate it.
Absolutely. We appreciate you guys as well. And don't forget, I'm available 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And so any questions that you have, you can always post them to our info box at info@icmcontrols.com, or you can call us at our 800 number, and we'll be happy to help you with any questions that you might have.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.
Take care now.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.